Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and SportSkope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Prim and Proper Sports. I'm your host, Sonia Pearson. Good evening to one and all. Hope you've had an amazing day. Today, I am graced by a longtime colleague and friend who is regracing my platform. Hasn't been here in a little bit, but he's definitely making some time for me today, and I'm greatly appreciative. It's none other than the host and creator of SportSkope, Robert Butler. Robert, hey. Good evening. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good
afternoon. How's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, you're in that was it Central Time? Yeah, Tennessee Central Time. What's been going on with you since the last time we talked? I mean, I know you've been busy.
Yeah, like we was talking backstage, just crunching time, and paying off some bills, getting squared away, but still finding time to squeeze a couple shows in a week and trying to get it squared away so I can get back on 5 days live. But I do Uber on the side. I've met a lot of interesting people in the sports field doing that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had some good interviews that I've met just doing Uber here in Nashville, believe it or not. 3-star quarterbacks and prospects, and a lady that used to be kin to one of the it was a daughter of one of the Yankees managers and owners there. Jenny Paul, Gabe Paul's back in the 70s daughter. Okay. Yeah, I got a chance to bring her on the program, got her book and stuff. So I always like to get 2 or 3 birds in one stone,
Yeah.
Stretch out and utilize every second of your life.
That's really awesome. And that's super that, you have that experience with, Ubering. You get a chance to meet everybody coming in from the airport. And Nashville,
yes.
Is a hub, extremely busy. You guys, of course, for those who don't know, SportSkope is his podcast. It's on the Roku channel along with mine. You can find him, like he said, he's going to be getting that to Fridays, and he's on YouTube. I mean, I always share your videos from there.
Thank you.
So just exciting always to sit down and talk with Robert. And he's, of course, a big Titans fan there in the Nashville area. So that's what our show is going to be about today. We're going to talk about the draft, of course, with the Titans and what that means for you guys and what you guys are going to be focusing on before the season kicks off. Of course, the schedule release here just released as well. You get a chance to see your opponents home and away and kind of get an idea what that's going to look like. Mm-hmm. Let's start out with these draft picks, Robert. I mean, the second round, you guys had a deep pick there because you did some trading around.
Yeah.
However, you guys were projected to get that number 1 pick. And so, with Cam Ward, some little switcheroos went down there with the draft, Robert.
Yeah, Cam Ward is I tell you, when I saw him play Florida back in September, by the way, on my show, I preseason, I thought that Miami would win the ACC. They were in the driver's seat. I thought he was going to be a big transfer upgrade for Miami last year, just doing a little background research on him before the season started. Mm-hmm. And, when I saw him play that Florida in the Florida game back in late August, early September on Labor Day weekend, I thought to myself, man, he looks a lot like Steve McNair. He reminds me of Steve McNair. He utilizes the pocket like McNair. This guy may be a pretty high pick. I didn't think he was going to be the number 1 pick 6 months later and be coming here to Tennessee, but I think they've got a very good player. He's real dedicated. Brian Callahan, the coach here at the Titans, he says he likes the way that he handled the blackboard there when they asked him what mistakes he made, and from play by play, and all the teams do this, you know.
Yeah.
And they say he's got a really high football acumen, a lot of hours under his belt there. You know, he's played, I want to say he went to junior college, Washington State, then Miami. So he's got the snaps there. I think that they're going to be this could be a Jayden Daniels type of situation.
Oh, wow.
That, yeah. Oh, yeah. His numbers are very similar, too, by the way. That last year, I did that of his very similar to Jayden Daniels, his last year at LSU. We saw what Daniels did with the Commanders. I don't know if they'll get to the AFC Championship game the way Daniels did, but I do like this pick. It feels like I'm 85% he's going to be a major hit. 15%, anything can happen that he may be a bust. He's one of those players, the more you get to know him, the more you realize that he's got the right head on his shoulders to become a very successful quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, you gave some big stats there, and I kind of misspoke when I started. I said round 2. I meant round 1. Cam Ward, everybody in the world knew you guys were going to grab him.
I thought you was talking about that end from UCLA, and I said,
no, I didn't even get there. I was like, it's been a long day, Robert.
Okay.
But I'm so glad we were able to bounce back there on that. But yes. I mean, the big news out of the University of Miami, of course, no shock. Will Levis just not long-term quarterback material. I mean, he played a game a couple seasons ago. I was really excited, and then it was just interception after interception after interception. Yeah. And so, I mean, Cam Ward, and you're referencing him being Jayden Daniels, like is really saying it big, because we know Jayden Daniels came in as a rookie, took the Commanders all the way to the NFC Championship game, which was a shock to everyone. I mean, you guys have a lot of weapons already there in Tennessee, and the fact that you all are bringing Cam Ward in there and the other drafts that we'll talk about momentarily just signifies, a balance on the offense and the defense of both, sides of the ball for you guys. So I'm really excited to know, I haven't been in Nissan Stadium in quite a while. It's been about 5, 6, 7. Well, no, about 9 years now. Actually 10. I just have to think, like, wait a minute.
I haven't been to a game since probably 15 myself, so don't feel bad.
That's when I was there. I was there during the Panthers' undefeated season, and we were there. And I had some friends that I had a friend that her in-laws owned some business there in Nashville, and we were literally 2 rows behind the Panthers, like right there. It was very, very nice. And so very nice stadium there. Always, great crowd there that you all draw. I love to see the tighten up, explosives that are on the field when they come out. It got me hyped as if I was a fan. Let's talk about some of these draft picks. Round 2 started off right after that explosive pick of Cam Ward. Speaking of, fire igniting and everything, got to talk about explosives there. You guys drafted an edge, Olawafemi Aladejo, I guess I'm pronouncing that right, out of UCLA at the pick number 52 in the second round. And you guys, that was your only pick for second round, but he's an edge. A lot of teams went with an edge this season. I mean, my Panthers were one of them. Your edge is a really well-rounded position because they're able to do things that, no other player can do.
Yeah. Mel Kiper was saying this guy's got a really high ceiling. I haven't heard of him prior to Tennessee take him. Tennessee also, they traded with Seattle. Seattle wanted to move up and get somebody. Tennessee did not have the third round pick. They traded that last year, which I thought was a great trade, by the way, regardless of what others say, because he got hurt, for L'Jarius Sneed, the cornerback out of Kansas City. Got hurt a few games in the season. But listen, folks, Tennessee was the second leading yards allowed team on defense last year. So they're a lot better than that record. The first was Philadelphia, who won the Super Bowl. So Tennessee's in a lot better shape than what people think. Yeah, you're right. Going back to Will Levis, I mean, just a lot of fumbled snaps, interceptions. ball bouncing off of his chest. He's not even communicating properly with his center. I think that the coaching staff was more than reasonable with him. It's just not clicking with him. I don't know. Probably not starting quarterback material. But, yeah, Tennessee, so they trade down. They get the third-round pick back. Then they get an edge rusher, Harold Landry. They let him go due to cap reasons, and he ends up signing with New England. I was kind of wishing, between me, you, and the audience, that they would have just reworked that deal.
Yeah.
The way our Philly sports guy and the Philadelphia Eagles, they always seem to work that out and keep their good players. Landry's a very good player. It's very unfortunate, but they had that need, and then they took this guy out of UCLA with a very difficult $50 name to now pronounce there. But it adds some stability to that defensive line. They've got two really good tackles, two defensive tackles. The old adage, a good pass rush makes your cornerbacks look good. Well, if you've also got good push in the middle, let's say like a Jeffrey Simmons and a Lavondre Sweat from Texas, second-round pick from last year, by the way. Very good pick from Tennessee last year. When you get that push up the middle and you're pushing the quarterback to the sideline there, it only helps your edge rushers. So even if he's subpar, and Kiper talked about him, said, yeah, this guy has a tremendous upside here. We'll see how it works out. But it would make him look really good and makes your cornerbacks look good. Pretty decent pick. We'll see. I like the position. Not so sure about the player. You know that Tennessee has a new general manager there. They have a new staff there. Amy Adams is actually adding on to the staff from a player personnel perspective, which I'm actually proud of. One of the only few people that actually sees it. She cares about that and realizes it. You need a big staff there. It says you've got more eyes there. Look at, for example, look at Philadelphia. They have about 20 people on their player personnel department, not just their general manager up there, compared to a team with a much more frugal, in air quotes, owner like Mike Brown there from Cincinnati. That's what Tennessee's done. So I'm pretty excited. I'm curious to see how these players play out. So far, yeah, I like the pick. Definitely needed that position. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, definitely some good picks. And you brought up some good strategies that Tennessee may be looking at. We'll get to that in just a moment.
Sure.
I want to talk about your third round pick at number 82 is safety Kevin Winston Jr. out of Penn State. A safety, once again, a special teams person, a lot of special teams emphasis as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he will be able to make those plays that Cam Ward may not be able to, complete or what have you.
Yeah. Oh, the safety. Yeah. Now, he's coming back from, I want to say, a torn ACL. He had a higher grade than the third round, which is good. And now look at these players coming out of Penn State here. I mean, Abdul Carter, the left tackle. I forgot the guy's name now. That's the coach now. James Franklin. He's turning out some really good pros there. They needed help at that safety position. They've got one starting safety they're highly dependent on. They've got a couple of corners there that played really well. Of course, I mentioned Snead as well. He's a very good open field tackler. Let's see how he comes back from that injury. Their former general manager, John Robertson, he'd like to take guys coming back from injury that had higher grades. That backfired on Tennessee. I don't think that's the case right now, but it's just a third-round pick. It wasn't a first-round pick. Let's see how he works out. But looking at him on film, looking at some stuff on YouTube, I like the way us normal people can go back and look at some of the film, kind of like the analysts are on TV nowadays with modern technology. I like what I see so far, but let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, definitely looking to see how it plays out. I mean, this was a running back, wide receiver, special teams, heavily saturated draft.
Oh, I love those multidimensional guys.
Yes. I mean, look at Travis Hunter, both sides of the ball. Of course, Jacksonville grabbed him. We're not going to say nothing about that. And he's like, okay, are you really going to play on both sides of the ball or not? But what I'm getting at, though, Robert, is the fact that this was not a quarterback saturated draft. And I will plug in before we get to your number 4 picks, because you guys grabbed 3 gentlemen in the 4th round, really good drafts for that 4th round. Your 4th round was your, next to the Cam Ward pool, was the best lucrative draft picks you guys had, because you were able to get 3 picks. I know you guys did a little switcheroo there with some other teams to get those. Yeah. But were you surprised? This is the $1 million question that I have had to ask everybody. Were you surprised, and you probably know where I'm going to go with this, about the Shedeur Sanders dropping all the way to the 5th round?
Yeah, because everything I was reading and hearing that he was going to go higher than that. But when I am working and not talking sports talk myself, I'm always listening to the national scene guys, whether through podcasts or shows, live shows myself. And I'm listening to a lot of the reporters. You remember me from coming on Mac and Jack's show back in the day. Yep. And Mac would just hit me up with 20,000 questions as if my name is in Rappaport, which is not, or Adam Scheffner. But
we thought it. I was like, the first time I met you, I was literally like, oh, maybe he knows them, because this guy is like really sports acumen for real. Like, you literally were on the set with ESPN. So
I know, right? Well, I'm always on the X app, which is the media loves that. The former Twitter app. It's very fast and engaging, and it's very addictive for people that are sports junkies like myself and yourself. But anyways, going back to Shedeur, what I was hearing before the actual draft was he was. Remember I talked earlier about Cam Ward. The coaches asking him, "What did you do wrong in this play? Can you break this play down?" And Shedeur Sanders, I think it was Albert Brill, I want to say, he's with NFL or Fox, that it got back to him that Shedeur was like, well, I don't know what I should have done. Maybe you shouldn't draft me. He was saying stuff like that. Yes, he was being combative, very standoffish. Essentially, his ego did not outweigh his doesn't have the arm talent as far as arm strength. Arm talented. I like his completion percentage. It's the highest in the league, but arm strength, athleticism of a guy like a Cam Ward, but he's blowing off these questions and starts breaking down the blackboard and everything. And that turned off a lot of teams, not to mention the fact that Deion was saying, hey, I don't really want him playing in northern environments. I don't want him playing for certain teams. I mean, he was really doing that, and he wasn't and this is what I was hearing leading up to the draft. From these reporters, he's not the prospect of Dad. Dad's arguably one of the greatest.
Right, he's already proven himself.
Right. You feeling yourself too much? Dad was number 5, if I'm not mistaken, overall in the 1989 draft.
Yes.
Took it by the Atlanta Falcons, where you're at now. He was not a John Elway, Andrew Luck level of talent. You could do that if you're that good. They viewed him more of as a moderate starter. One reporter said, I think it was Tim Hasselbeck, break it down, he kind of reminds me of Andy Dalton. Well, that's not what you want to hear. Andy Dalton was like a 2nd-round pick, much more humble, modest guy at a TCU, and he did start for quite a few years there for Cincinnati. So this is the stuff you're hearing, with the fact that they don't think he's that super talented. And once you get past that 1st round, if you're not taken early in the 2nd, teams start to view you as a backup. And then there's a free fall. Apparently, Dylan Gabriel was drafted early.
Yes, that was like the blow right there.
Right.
Because he was ranked less than that's when it became real, Robert, that you knew that this is not about athleticism. This is about attitude. It's a difference. Athleticism, AT, attitude, ATT. So you knew then that the message had been sent.
Right. And you know something? We talked about a guy like Will Levis. This is what I heard about Will Levis just after the draft. He was supposed to be mocked to go number 4 to the Indianapolis Colts. Instead, they end up taking Anthony Richardson, a very raw player, from Florida, very raw player, only had 1 year experience, but he was much more humble and easier as an interview. You have to be a sponge and take constructive criticism if you want to grow in the NFL when you've got coaches working with you. So that's why Levis fell all the way to the 2nd round. Tennessee took him in the 2nd round because Richardson was more humble and he seemed to be more responsive to the questioning. Apparently, that was the same thing that happened in the pre-draft process with Shedeur Sanders.
That is so wild, Robert, because I'm going to be honest with you. I never knew that about Will Levis. I think we probably would not have known that about Shedeur had he not been Deion's son. So, Of course, the pundits were out there basically saying people don't like Deion. They couldn't wait for the opportunity to stick it to him. But I knew that had not to be true because look at Shiloh. Shiloh's personality is totally different. Yes. He was not projected to be drafted, even though he went into the draft. And Tampa Bay still, after the draft was over, offered him an extension to join the team as an undrafted free agent. And so it could have been done. And you just look at the clips of those two on social media. Day and night, both mom, both dad is the same, but they are day and night. And, it was really humbling for me to see that after all the hoopla, because Shedeur had waited, 2-3 days? I forget. It was so far down.
It was day 3. And if it wasn't for Jimmy Haslam, he might have not got drafted. The management, the coaching staff did not. Andrew Berry, you could see when they're clapping, it's a golf clap. It looked like a hostage tape. They're not jumping up and down and stuff.
Nope.
Right.
And I mean, he at this point had already gotten pranked. But the thing that really got me was that, they were hanging out at Deion's house or wherever they were for 3 days, a whole crowd of people. And then, of course, once it's over with, then Shiloh's still there with his dad when he gets the call, but nobody's there to celebrate him. And I'm like, if I had 2 sons that were entering the draft, I would at least ask everybody to hang around a little bit because sometimes they do pick up other players. You guys just hang around a little bit so, Shiloh can feel the love as well. And so, when you come in, I had read articles like you said, I had my ears kind of glued to the Nationals as well. And, anonymous people coming out, making this, that, and the third. I mean, there were some people that said those people should basically reveal themselves. I'm like, no, they don't have to reveal themselves. They're not going to lie on a prospect. They got better things to do than to lie on someone who's undrafted when they've already made their career. They just don't want to basically put it out there, because the NFL can be kind of, like a little crew, they have a way of.
Plus, you got to go back to Colorado for years to come. You don't want that bad reputation. But we also, as analysts and the fan base, you want to hear what their real opinion is,
right?
Good, bad, and ugly. So
he's number 5, and it doesn't matter now. But he went from potentially $45 million to $4 million, so that's a big drop. But his NIL deals have him taken care of. Let's get back to these drafts. I appreciate your opinion on that. I had to ask. I asked everybody.
I love it. We could stay on if you wanted to.
Yes. So round 4, you guys grabbed wide receiver Chamir Dyke out of Florida. You also grabbed tight end Gunnar Helm from Texas. And you guys also got Alik Ayamanar, out of Stanford. I never heard of any of those gentlemen, but you guys looked like, that was far down in the draft. They were like the 100s, but they're going to be adding to your offense. Probably not walk-on starters, but definitely building into the future of the Titans. The 5th round, of course, you guys got offensive guard Jackson Slater from Sacramento State. Now, I've heard of him. I didn't think he was going to go that late in the rounds. And then your last round was round 6. You guys got a cornerback Marcus Harris out of California and a running back Khalil Mullings out of Michigan. And that rounded up your draft. Anything for those guys?
The gentleman you mentioned from Stanford, he got the best of Travis Hunter on a primetime game one time. It's everywhere. And he very well may be the diamond in the rough there. These are later picks, but mind you, guys like Max Crosby, 5th round pick. Stephon Diggs, believe it or not, 5th round pick.
Cardi B's new boo. She's been going to the Knicks games with them.
Oh, I saw that earlier. I just seen that before we got on.
Yes. So, I'm like, is she divorced?
They got floor side seats there.
Yeah, I didn't know they were divorced, but these celebrities, they don't wait on paperwork no more.
They fast.
They out there already. Yeah, so with you guys adding those guys, it looks like you guys got some really good acquisitions, new talent to refresh that roster that you guys got. And basically, you all probably will be making some additional moves. You some teams do get people in the free agency, some vets and everything. But it looks like Tennessee is focusing on rejuvenating and, it's not euthanizing because that's a different word, but I like to say youthifying their offense is the word I bring up. Bringing young people in. I mean, the fact that y'all have a new quarterback basically looks like Will Levis and possibly Malik Willis will be something to watch in that. And, there were rumors leading up to the draft about potential trades involving some of the current players there, but nothing significant had happened. You guys are also looking to bolster your depth. A lot of teams looking at their depth chart, positions that you guys didn't necessarily address heavily in the draft, or where you guys may have had some injuries. For example, you guys recently signed wide receiver TJ Sheffield and a tight end Drake Dabney while waiving 2 other players. So the thing for you guys would be your rookie minicamp that's getting ready to start or is starting. Injury updates with the 3rd round pick, Kevin Winston Jr. He's still recovering from that torn ACL that you mentioned. And your 6th round pick, Khalil Mullins, is also recovering from a core muscle surgery, causing him to miss some of the minicamp activities. Cam Ward's already out there throwing, integrating to his new teammates. I expect him to be a walk-on, Robert.
Yeah. Ward, we really won't find out nothing until the preseason starts. But here, Brian Callahan, he's already mentioned the fact that we're taking some of the Miami playbook here. He's very much taking an Andy Reid-like approach, which I like.
Oh, wow.
Having these offensive-minded head coaches here. I want a physical team, don't get me wrong, but the league is going offensive. You've got to take care of that side of the ball. You got to protect the quarterback, and you got to get him make him comfortable where he can make proper plays to help you be in position to win football games. So I like what they're doing even early in these mini camps here. That's so far so good. They've got guys like Calvin Ridley on the roster.
He's out there from the Falcons.
Yeah, he looked great last year.
Yeah, he did.
Very good at times, even though we had musical quarterbacks at times. Okonkwo, that's the leading tight end. I think he's going to play really well with him. Of course, you got Hunter there, the 4th round pick out of Texas. A lot of this is we're not real sure what the rookies are going to do. I do expect a lot for Ward, but Tennessee's got a pretty good 1-2 punch there in their running back room, led by Tony, was it Pollard there, former Dallas Cowboy, who had a good year last year.
Totally forgot he went to you guys too. Yeah, that's a big
Yeah, and by the way, they actually traded Malik Willis last year before the season started. The other quarterback you mentioned, he's actually with Green Bay right now. Tennessee traded him for a 7th round pick.
I was wondering when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute, I think Malik's already gone, but
yes. Yeah, so he's getting another shot there up there in Green Bay. He actually went down here and started one week and beat Tennessee and made Tennessee regret that. Turned out to be a huge blessing in disguise to Tennessee. Later got the number 1 pick and got Cam Ward. So, and quite frankly, Tennessee turned down a haul of picks there from the New York Giants. I saw something online. It was a video. Giants are very vocal that their general manager calls Tennessee at the last minute. Are you sure you don't want
I saw that. Begging.
Offered a 1st round next year. They offered them a mid-round this year. Of course, that 3 overall pick. My thing is maybe if they offered a 27, I might have taken it. But you've seen it wasn't Jackson. It was Jackson Dart was drafted at the very end of the round. Mm-hmm. So it was not just a lot of hype on Cam Ward. He was the guy they truly, truly seen as a top 1st round pick in this draft. Now, hey, maybe it's just a terrible quarterback draft and Ward's a bust. If that's the case, you just go out and try it again a few years later. If he's a hit, maybe you got a guy maybe as good as a Jaden Daniels. You never know. Or the C.J. Stroud, who's just drafted a few years ago and really surprised a lot of people with Houston.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, CJ came out playing, Jaden Daniels like. He didn't advance as much as Jaden did to the championship, but definitely took those Texans to a different, especially with DeMeco Ryans being the first
year. The playoffs, though.
Yeah, they really went deep into the playoffs. I was impressed with them, and it made people that were not even fans actually root for them when, you're rooting for the underdog, so to speak. But, I mean, you mentioned a good thing. The Giants, some Giant fans were basically predicting that they were trying to trade to get Shador, honestly. And so,
Yes.
but then, to have Cam Ward, but they did what they're supposed to do. And I mean, making all those moves and trying to make deals and wheels and deals, that's the name of the game. But the Giants are going to stay where they are. They're in a win now mentality, because if not, Dayball is going to be out of there and a whole bunch of other people. And even with them drafting him, I still don't think the Giants would have had a win now. They don't have Saquon Barkley. They got Brian Burns from the Panthers as an edge rusher, but they just are missing that stealth offensive line. And they had a lot of close games that they lost last year, but they really blew their whole season. So they would have been literally selling the farm, kind of like the Panthers did with Bryce, to try to get in that position. I know your time is limited today, Robert. I really appreciate you coming on. I want to wrap up with one final question with you, if that's okay. Where do you see the Titans going record-wise for the next season?
Well, it just depends.
Wins, losses.
Yeah, the schedule comes out tomorrow. It's actually now I know a lot of it's leaked out already, but that's a whole different topic right there. I'm thinking 7-10 to 9-8, possible wild card type of team there.
Almost 500, 9-8.
Almost
great.
500. They built up that offensive line. They've got a lot of pieces. I mentioned before, second yards allowed. They've got a new special teams coordinator here. They've upgraded there. They've added some pieces, of course, coaching on the defensive side. I think that they can play pretty well. I don't know if they'll win the division. We're going to have to let this thing play out. But I think they'll win more than 3 games next year. I'll tell you that.
Okay, well, kudos. I don't want to say that's a bold prediction with you all doing all the work you did in the draft. Looks like that's a pretty positive, guess, a good, honest guess, in fact. And tell everybody in our audience how to reach you as we get ready to wrap up your segment here. We appreciate Robert Butler, of course, SportSkope. Tell us how to find you.
Yeah, I'll call it the real SportSkope because my Facebook got hacked last year, and I'm still trying to get that squared away. But if you see SportSkope that's not on Facebook, look for the real SportSkope. That's me. I usually got a suit on. I'm coming in from my day job. But this show, when I'm doing live shows, but I'm doing a lot of reruns also. But listen, that's some pretty good interviews I've got in there. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. It's Monday through Friday. And one day I bring in the Mad New Yorker and we argue about a lot of stuff, not just New York stuff. I love going at it with him head to head. And, I get some amazing guests. I meet new people all the time. So that's where you can find me.
All right. So you guys heard it first. It's the real SportSkope. I've actually updated your title here.
Oh,
Robert,
thank
you so much for coming on with me. And we're going to bid Robert a good night as we wrap up our next segment here. All right, everybody. That was Robert Butler, of course, the real SportSkope. Thank you so much again, Robert, for joining us. In other NFL news, of course, the NFL is announcing a record 7 international games for the 2025 season. Now, you guys know the schedules will be individually released on tomorrow. However, everybody pretty much knows who their opponents are. Like, listen, guys, we know every season we play our divisional opponents. And so then you kind of just figure out what division are you playing outside of your own, and there you have your schedule. And so this includes the Minnesota Vikings will be playing back-to-back games in Dublin and London. Other international games will be held in Germany and Spain. So congratulations to those teams. The Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles will play the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football in Week 10 at Lambeau Field. Of course, that's a big must-watch game. Everybody's talking about what the champions Eagles are going to look like against Jordan Love and his crew. Bengals defensive end Trey Hendrickson has reportedly given the team an ultimatum and won't play in 2025 under his current contract. Now, guys, they just drafted Shamar Stewart, and he's already holding out, saying he doesn't want to sign papers because basically he feels like he's being lowballed because of the previous year's pick at the same point of the roster. What is going on in the Bengals camp that they can't seem to get their guys paid? Yeah, Trey Hendrickson, big name, giving him now an ultimatum that he just will not play in 2025 with the contract that he's given. Full NFL schedule, of course, like I said, is going to be coming out on tomorrow night, Wednesday night, that is. And so we're going to be definitely eagerly waiting to see what that's like. And good luck to your team. NBA news, of course, the NBA playoffs are commencing matchups tonight. But unfortunately, the Boston Celtics just lost the key weapon, as if they were not already struggling enough against the New York Knicks. Jason Tatum will be out for a full year, reportedly suffered a torn Achilles tendon in Game 4 of their playoff series against the Knicks. Projected recovery is extensive. And like I said, I've read in places that a year is pretty much the norm with that type of injury. I don't know, guys. The Celtics were already in a must-win situation, and they were barely hanging in there, and the Knicks fever is high. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. If the Knicks can pull this one out, I really don't see anyone out of the West coming in and beating them. The NBA draft lottery, of course, took place, and the Dallas Mavericks unexpectedly took the number 1 overall pick. Duke's Cooper Flag, guys, is the projected top pick for the June 25th, 26th draft. Of course, the 25th being the host time for the number 1 position. And Cooper Flag is projected to go to the Dallas Mavericks. And I think I read somewhere it's the first time they've actually had a number 1 pick. So congratulations. He's sticking with that blue. And Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks has reportedly become open to trade. Now, there's been some rumblings about that for quite some time. And so now with the New York Knicks being mentioned as a potential landing spot for him, that's going to be explosive if he ends up going to that team. The Minnesota Timberwolves defeated the Golden State Warriors 117-110. Of course, Steph Curry, another big name, now sidelined for the Warriors. He's been injured this entire week with a hamstring injury, doubtful for Game 5 coming up. However, he was projected to miss 3 to 4 games initially. I mean, I don't know. They may just give him a couple of cortisone shots, tape him up, and send him out there, because now the T-Wolves are up 3-1. And let's be clear, guys, if the Warriors are going to win, they must win now to stay in. The PGA Championship. Let's talk about some golf. We never really talk about golf on this show. The PGA Championship is this week at Quail Hollow in Charlotte, North Carolina. Notable groupings for the first round include Rory McIlroy, I can't even talk. McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, and Xander Schauffele. Now, the betting models for the PGA Championship suggest that players who drive the ball long and straight will have an advantage at Quail Hollow. Reds legend. Now, this is big news right here, guys, in baseball. Reds legend Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson were removed from the MLB's permanently ineligible list, making them now eligible as deceased members of the MLB for potential Hall of Fame consideration. You guys remember the scandals that surrounded both of those players back in the 80s and 90s. And so this decision comes after MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred ruled that permanent ineligibility ends upon the death of those players. That's going to be extremely interesting. And without a doubt, with that ruling, you would kind of expect Pete Rose to be, I like to say, no-brainer going into the hall there. I mean, definitely well-deserved, except for that scandal he had. Of course, they were saying it may have been different if he accepted responsibility, but he clearly didn't even show any ounce of remorse. But he's gone now, so we'll have to see what that looks like. Let's bounce back to the NFL. I had to plug you guys in on some other news first. Now, the schedule that I told you guys is coming out tomorrow night, 8 p.m. And here's some interesting matchups that have already been announced before that. Season opener on Thursday, September 4th, will feature a Super Bowl rematch between the Eagles and the Cowboys. Now, they're going to be playing that game September 4th. The Green Bay Packers, of course, hosting the Eagles Week 10. We talked about that. Chicago Bears will be visiting the Eagles on Black Friday, and a Christmas Day triple header is planned. Love that time of year when they do that. Denver Broncos playing the Kansas City Chiefs for an AFC West matchup and the night game of Kansas City. So that's going to be big on Christmas Day. Kansas City Chiefs will host the Philadelphia Eagles for another Super Bowl rematch, although the exact date has yet to be determined. And the Buffalo Bills will host the Kansas City Chiefs in a rematch of the AFC Championship game. Detroit Lions and Cowboys will continue their tradition of hosting the Thanksgiving Day games with their opponents not yet named. But a primetime game will also be played on Thanksgiving night. Now, the NFL announced a record 7 international games. We talked about that. It's the first time Brazil, Germany, Spain, Ireland, and the United Kingdom. Week 1 kicks off September 5th. It's rumored to be the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Los Angeles Chargers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Week 4, September 28th, the Vikings versus the Steelers in Dublin, Ireland. Week 5, the Vikings, which is October 5th, the Vikings versus the Browns in London. Week 6, I mean, they're having back-to-back overseas games. Week 6 is going to be October the 12th, the Broncos versus the Jets in London. Week 7 is the Rams versus the Jaguars in London. And week 10, we got Atlanta going to Germany, Berlin, Germany versus the Indianapolis Colts on November the 9th. And week 11, November 16th, which will wrap up the international games, Washington Commanders versus the Miami Dolphins in Madrid, Spain on Sunday, November the 16th. Notably, the Vikings will be the first team to play back-to-back games in different foreign countries. Those guys are going to be tired. It's just one of those times of year. It's exciting for fans. We have fans international. This is under Roger Goodell's projection to basically take the NFL worldwide. So looking at what worldwide would be, they're definitely making, haste to get to where they need to be. Now, the NFL has decided to pause their diversity accelerator program. Let's talk about that for a little bit. We know a lot of stuff is happening with DEI and things of that nature from government on down. NFL has decided to pause its accelerator program, which aims to increase diversity among coaching candidates for the upcoming spring meetings. Now, I don't know how this will affect the Rooney Rule and things like that. Things we've seen over the years, including coaching out of Jacksonville that basically said he wasn't picked up or whatever. But this league does plan to make changes to the program before bringing it back in May 2026. So it's not completely going to be gone. NFL Chief Administrative Officer Dacia Smith stated that the league intends to combine the coaching and front office accelerator programs to strengthen the talent pipeline and increase diverse hirings for key leadership positions. So it's good to know they're going to plan on bringing it back to see what that looks like. And, I just can't believe, that we are living in a time that we kind of got to look at those types of things. But sometimes even sports news actually basically transcends regular news, and you have to kind of talk about it, even though you don't really want to talk about it. So let's see, as we get ready to wrap up here, what actually is going on with the Bengals, that everybody is now having these contractual issues, and try to, kind of nail down what's going on with these guys. I mean, they are having significant contract issues. Trey Henderson, of course, the big name here. And he's actually open for a trade, guys. That's the thing. He's expressing frustration, disappointment with the lack of communication from the Bengals front office regarding an extension for his contract. Even since the draft, I mean, they're not even really talking to him, is what it sounds like. He stated that offers made before the draft did not reflect the value that he believes he earned after leading the NFL with 17 and a half sacks last season. And you guys, we kind of got to look at it and be like, yeah, you're leading the league. Where is the money? It should be definitely backing that up. He feels that the situation has become personal due to his lack of communication that he's receiving and what he perceives as a lack of respect from the organization. So, guys, mentally, he is about to be checked out. So at this point, whenever you see a player that's verbalizing this to the media, to the press, to social media, what have you, where others know about it, that's when you know it's dire, because that type of person, even if you end up paying him, it's kind of like if the injury has already occurred and now he's talking to players and your locker room is, soon to be fruit of a poisonous tree. Henderson alluded to a potential handshake agreement from the previous offseason, basically suggesting he was promised a new deal if he continued to perform at a high level. He also mentioned receiving text messages, and this is where it's going to get you in trouble, because when people start writing stuff, there is your evidence. So now there's a paper trail. Created text messages that he received from head coach Zach Taylor about being fined from missing mandatory minicamp, which he took as a sign that a deal would not be reached by them. So they're basically saying, okay, dude, you're not coming to minicamp, you're holding out, we're just going to start fining you. Like, you're going to come one way or another. The Bengals, according to their perspective, they kind of have a slightly variation. They're saying, we made offers to him before the draft, but they were not to his satisfaction. There's been no communication between the team and Hendrickson's representatives since the draft, according to Hendrickson. But the Bengals have recently signed lucrative extensions with their star offensive players, including Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, which is definitely, an eye opener. Like, okay, you guys are clearly making moves with other people, but, that should not impact the budget they have for Hendrickson. Matter of fact, I think the Bengals are the highest paid offense in the league. They spent a buku amount of money on their offense. Now, there are reports suggesting that the Bengals are primarily interested in a shorter contract extension for Hendrickson, and he's wanting a little bit more, and that's why he's not accepting. Bengals executive vice president Katie Blackburn basically was quoted in March as saying he's still a Bengal, indicating that the team's desire was still to keep him. Now, these are the implications of what's going on. For him to continue to hold out could potentially look like, he's not there for these mandatory mini camps and training camps. Is going to continue to, in his mind, pressure the Bengals to offer him a new contract, or they could trade him. That's the other implication of this, because he was given permission to seek a trade in March, guys, but no deal actually materialized. Nobody's come to the Bengals and said, okay, hey, we want him for a deal, blah, blah, blah. This is what we'll give you. This remains a possibility if the contract impasse continues. The Bengals would need to decide if they prefer to trade him and get some value in return, or risk him sitting out the entire season, which is the final year of his deal. Now, the Bengals could ultimately decide to offer him a contract extension that meets his demands to avoid losing him, because he is their top pass rusher. A situation could remain unresolved, potentially leading to a stalemate, guys. I mean, this situation in Cincinnati is akin to what's going on in Atlanta with Kirk Cousins. The Falcons, I mean, in case you have not, heard, I mean, everybody pretty much is. They paid Kirk Cousins all this money. Now they've gone with Michael Penix Jr. Kirk Cousins comes out basically saying, I was injured anyway, and I came to Atlanta to be the number one quarterback. I'm not being backup for you guys, Atlanta. And he's already got guaranteed money, even if he sits down, even if he doesn't dress out, even if he doesn't do another thing, he's got all this money from the Falcons. And so he's been known to be in Cleveland and some other places, taking pictures, hashtagging their team names, basically shopping himself. He tried to meet with Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, and it was a no deal for Arthur Blank. Like, I get where you're coming from, Kurt, but we've gone with Michael Penix Jr., and we expect you to be a formidable backup. And so this saga continues in Atlanta, just like it kind of is a little bit here with Hendrickson and the Bengals. Trey Hendrickson, just to note about him, coming off of an exceptional season, of course, leading sacks and earning all-pro honors. To his value, he added to their defense. And, it's undeniable, especially after a defensive bad performance. I want to say disappointing, bad, whatever, the previous season, that led to the coordinator change there in Cincinnati. So the Bengals had heavily invested in their offense. Like I said earlier, Joe Burrow's significant contract is also a factor about their salary cap management, and the lack of communication between these two post-draft really signifies that things have really escalated. And don't be surprised if we see Hendrickson basically traded before this is all said and done. I mean, he's already withholding from camp. Let's wrap up with some Aaron Rodgers news. Of course, it's been kind of mum. Aaron Rodgers not going anywhere as of yet. It's been predicted that he may actually wait until the season starts to try to go somewhere, because then he's picked up, somebody may go down. They may realize they need him. I mean, we just don't know. It was a lot of hype up around him before the draft, even predictions that he was going to be picked up immediately after the draft. But of course, he's unsigned right now. He's not going anywhere. And, he's a future Hall of Famer quarterback, legendary career when he was with Green Bay. And when he moved to the Jets, it was with high expectations. They expected, the Jets to really be on the map. But his first season, of course, he had a Achilles injury, that was cutting short. I mean, his first snap of the game, like it was a wrap. And so now it's just we have no idea where Aaron Rodgers will go. Like, where will he go? So many people have predicted where he would go, and that has not happened. I mean, there was ties about the Vikings, of course, once they got rid of Sam Darnold, all of that stuff, and it's pretty much uncertain as to where he will go. So, as I like to always say, the verdict is still out on that, and we'll keep an eye, of course, on this Hendrickson situation. And Rogers, of course, himself said he's open to anything. I remember I saw a quote where he said he'd pay for $10 million. He would play for $10 million. We thought he may still go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was the leading area we thought he was going to go to. Pretty much a strong contender, especially after they did not draft Shedeur Sanders, which was, linked to that. The team owner, Art Rooney II, even hinted at a potential signing months ago, but it's been silent since then. They were negotiating, according to the media, but they're looking for a long-term quarterback, guys. And Aaron Rodgers has already been injured, and he's creeping toward his 40-year mark. So I'm not for sure what they're going to do about that, if they're going to go with youth over veteran. But he does have a connection with their new wide receiver, DK Metcalf. He has been seen working out with him in the offseason. So you never know. Then, of course, now Derek Carr stepping down, retiring from the NFL as a whole after this bitter contract exchange with the New Orleans Saints. And then he comes out and says, no, I have a shoulder injury. Saints are circulating, this has never been revealed before, so we're not sure. Derek Carr goes to his church in Las Vegas, talks about not only the shoulder injury, but the fact that when he was on his way to one of the events the Saints were having, some football-oriented, I think it was a minicamp or something, that his wife sadly miscarried. And so, he was just like, enough already. I have a torn labrum. It's on my throwing arm. I don't want to have to go through 6 months of PT after having surgery on this, which would be him be out for the season anyway. So he just officially retired, and apparently, I guess I should say, he has gained over $200 million with his NFL affiliations, be that with endorsements or his contractual obligations within the team itself. But he's set, guys. No wonder, he is literally set. So with that being said, of course, the Saints have Spencer Rattler, who has shown some solid gains when they were playing with him. But they may be looking for a veteran quarterback to compete in what's considered a weaker NFC South division, offering Rodgers a potentially better playoff opportunity compared to if he were to go to the AFC North. Now, like I said, they was already talking about the Vikings, but they're kind of already putting out there that they're sold on J.J. McCarthy because they signed him and they have not played with him, and they really are trying to move forward with McCarthy. Of course, the Titans drafted Cam Ward, so that just zeroed out Aaron Rodgers' chance of going there because, of course, Cam Ward was their number one pick, and he may be their walk-on. He may be your walk-on starter. And Las Vegas Raiders was another rumored team, but then they got Geno Smith. Of course, Pete Carroll reconnecting with him, and he brought Geno in. So that's definitely going to be their new regime. And, it's pretty much going to be that. Now, at this stage in Aaron's career, it's very likely that he's going to be prioritizing joining the team with a realistic chance of competing for a Super Bowl. I mean, he's getting long in the tooth, as they say. He doesn't want to play for X amount of years much longer. He wants to go out with a win. And I still feel in the back of my mind, y'all, he really tries to be like Tom Brady. Let's look at it. He went to the Jets. He tried to take, Devontae Adams with him, Adam Lazard, just a couple of folks he wanted from Green Bay, and just kept on trying to get them there. Kind of like how Tom Brady came to Tampa, brought Gronkowski with him and Antonio Brown and won. But Aaron Rodgers, you are not Tom Brady, but, I appreciate the effort. Now, with Aaron Rodgers' familiarity with offensive schemes and the presence of talented receivers and solid offensive line, he's going to go to a team that has all that stuff because he wants to make sure he's not getting folded up like a lawn chair coming out of the pocket or anything. He needs a line that is solid that will protect him, and especially because he don't want to get re-injured. And he's made it clear that money is not his primary motive. I told you guys earlier he was quoted saying he would play for $10 million. The contract offer would still be a consideration. So I don't know what happened in Pittsburgh that it didn't pan out. surely they were offering him more than $10 million. They never came out with the, logistics of just what was, looking like on the Steelers contract. But, Rodgers said he's dealing with some personal matters. I don't know, we're not speculating what that may be, but he doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have children. So who knows what he's dealing with personally. But excuse me, now we're at mandatory team practice time, and he's expected to make a decision really soon, because you don't want to have another situation where it was like last year. They signed him. He doesn't show up because he's overseas somewhere with some mushroom convention. But the Steelers in particular were reportedly to have a decision from him before the draft, but he does remain a free agent. And speaking of free agent, that's going to be all our time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Robert Butler, for coming on and gracing my platform again, The Real SportSkope. You guys saw him on here earlier. And make sure you guys download the Roku app to look for National Streaming Sports. Follow Elite Sports Entertainment as well, and the Huddle Sports Network for everything you need sports related. And with that, I'm going to bid everybody a good night. And I hope that you guys are safe. Stay tuned here where we have sports literally round the clock. And I will see you guys in the next day or so. And y'all be blessed.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.